Welcome everyone to our session on youth-driven learning and its relation to compassion and action. We hope that this session is going to be very informative and that everyone's doing well. Let's begin.
Okay, so in order to start, please take a minute to think about a time when you cared about something but weren't sure what you could actually do to help. There's no right or wrong answer. Please give your answer in the chat. Oh, local political elections. That's very adult. I don't think the three of us are very used to that sort of thing.
Uh, if you could expand on why exactly you doubted your ability, that would be great.
Yeah, we'd really like to know.
Everyone's
It's a
thought
good
to
dance
us.
also. Yeah.
The question
The
was, when have you cared about an issue but doubted your ability to contribute? We
yeah,
just wanted you to expand on your response.
if you could explain why, um, you've answered it as local political elections, we'd appreciate that.
Or maybe to help. Are the local elections not fair, or do you think that you wanted to um, be a candidate? What was the issue?
Oh,
So,
doubting whether they can influence the outcomes or behavior of voters. That's interesting.
yeah, that's a fair point. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, it's very um important. Like it's a very significant thing in this world when it comes to daily affairs.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
Um, so the three of us are alumni of the Content Creation Lab. I will start by introducing myself. My name is Iffah Shamim. I'm 18 years old. I'm originally from Pakistan, but I've lived in the UAE for basically all my life, ever since I was four. Currently, I'm in Pakistan for holiday.
Yeah, my name is Isbah Fatima. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm 18 years old. I'm also from Pakistan, just like Ifa, but I've lived in Qatar for like 16 years now. We moved here when I was 2 years old, and I'm currently in Qatar as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Nkeshimana Cedrick, and I'm from Mozambique. I'm 24 years old, and my pronouns are he, him.
Okay, so at Global Nomads, we often like to start things off with a story. So I'd appreciate it if you guys could turn on speaker view right now and I'll stop screen sharing. That way you'll feel a lot like we're having a conversation.
Okay, so September 21st, 2024. It should have been a regular Saturday evening, but it wasn't. The orientation for my new internship was scheduled at 6 p.m. I was shocked when I received the acceptance email for the content creation lab since I didn't think I had what it takes. I started counting down the days till orientation. When the moment arrived, though, that previous excitement morphed into terror. As I sat on my study desk, logged into my Zoom account, and joined the meeting, fears raced in my mind. What if I'm not able to speak up? What if I can't articulate myself properly? What if I can't connect with anyone?
And of all the places that I expected an opportunity to find me, it ended up being in the digital silence of my inbox on a random January evening. The commute from school had just bled into the familiar quiet of my room in Qatar. The 3 hour daily journey a phantom weight on my shoulders. Then I saw it. The Global Nomads logo. They wanted to work with me again.
It's a strange feeling speaking into a screen, not knowing exactly how your words are landing. During my time at TCL, all of our work happened online. Team meetings, Slack reminders, and emails to respond, all through a rectangle of faces and each person tuned in from different places. Yet somehow, despite the distance, it became one of the most human learning experience I've had.
My mind flickered back to my first stint in the content creation lab, a beautiful, sustained state of confusion. Last time, I was picked from the initially rejected applicants for the internship, but this time I was picked from the youth interns that participated in the cohort. But the question remained, why me? Where everyone else seemed to know the secret handshake, I assumed I was added later to the virtual room because I had joined the internship midstream, but I assumed that the fog would clear with time.
I felt uncomfortable switching on my camera, switching on my microphone. Based on my experiences with online classes during COVID, I assumed we'd be expected to keep them on. My school during that time had a very strict rule about cameras and mics. However, what I immediately noticed was how compassionate the CCL staff was. They prioritized the convenience of each intern, and we were encouraged to communicate using whatever means we found most convenient for us, whether that was on chat, whether that was out loud.
Before we even started, they sent a survey with questions like, "Do you feel comfortable using Zoom? What support do you need? Best."
My heart was at ease, partially because being in a new environment brings out the shy, quiet side of me, and partially because once I do start talking, I ramble and I lose track of my original points.
Our learning space was youth driven. We weren't just participants, but we also shaped the direction of the work. That kind of agency felt empowering but also intimidating. There were moments when I sat quietly in the meetings, hesitating to unmute, feeling like I had to sound confident, fluent, and polished. I told myself I had to say the right thing, and I felt this even more intensely because I started.
Now, back again after the internship, I had been hired as a coordinator to help finish producing the course that we had designed earlier. It felt like stepping onto a new, more precarious stage. Now I was working directly with the Global Nomads Group staff, real adults with degrees and expertise. The hourly wage that landed in my father's account each month felt even more consequential than the first stipend, and the old ghost of confusion returned with a vengeance.
In previous cases, I would rehearse what I wanted to say before speaking. I would type it out in a document and make sure the words looked smooth on the page, even if they might not come out the way aloud.
I'd sit in on script writing meetings, chiming in with a small suggestion while the staff bore what I saw as the real magic. I was asked to help with a marketing poster, and all I did was watch, mesmerized as a staff member's cursor danced across the screen, creating something beautiful from a blank slate. This pressure was not new. During the internship, I'd rush to meet every soft deadline, my heart hammering with a self imposed pressure.
During a brainstorming session, we were contributing with ideas for a project, and there was a pause. My heart was pounding a little, and my palms were warm against the desk.
During orientation, we went through the guidelines we were supposed to follow as interns. We covered a lot of rules, but the rule that caught my attention the most was share what you know as well as what you don't know.
A quiet, insistent voice started whispering, "You are a spectator here. You are not useful enough." I felt like a kid playing with a kitchen set in front of Michelin chefs cooking a five-star meal. The internship stipend was my first ever payment for work in my life, and the word felt heavy, important. To my mind, payment was a transaction. You give skill, you receive money. But what skill was I giving? I was a child in the workplace of adults.
My inner critic was so loud that the thought of sharing anything messy or imperfect terrified me. But for a moment I thought, what if I ignore it? What if I share anyway?
I felt something shift. I had something valuable to contribute. I hesitated, hesitated. I knew I would stutter, but I clicked unmute anyway.
We were put into breakout rooms with our teammates and introduced to our team leaders. They were nice, like the CCL staff. They explained everything in a manner that helped soothe my nerves.
The gentle reassurance from staff and team leaders that it was okay felt like a foreign language.
As I spoke, I stumbled. A few words caught in my mouth. I paused, then continued. Slower this time, and more deliberate. No one interrupted. No one rushed in to finish my sentence. I didn't hear anyone sigh or see anyone look uncomfortable on screen.
However, because the team leaders were a little older than I was, I felt that I couldn't measure up to any imagined standard that I assumed they'd imposed, which was another one of my inner critic's misunderstandings. I tried to shut it down and focus on the positives. Maybe I could voice my thoughts. Maybe that would be enough.
They just listened, and something powerful happened. I didn't apologize. In the past, I would have said, "Sorry, I'm not explaining this well." But in that moment, I let myself be exactly as I was. I realized that no one was asking me to apologize.
Something finally clicked into place during a script meeting with Sandra, a staff member whose calm voice felt like a safe harbor. I confessed my feelings of being an imposter, of receiving a wage for what felt like passive observation. She listened, her smile patient and knowing. "But that's the whole point," she said. "You're the youth, we aren't. You lived the entire cohort. Your ideas, your feedback, it's all filtered through that experience. That's something none of us have." At that moment, the entire structure of my anxiety crumbled.
The pressure to be perfect was coming from me. The meeting became a turning point. I began to speak more often, not because I stopped stuttering, but because I stopped holding my voice back in fear of it.
While I didn't say much during the orientation, I've left feeling hopeful. Little by little, I was motivated by other interns who spoke on mic without hesitation, and I began to do the same. I began sharing my views out loud, except for when my siblings were being noisy in the background. I also started participating more, volunteering for anything I could get my hands on.
I remembered the profound jolt I felt during the internship when they explained that the stipend was for our participation, for our learning, for showing up and speaking. My brain, wired for the conventional arithmetic of effort and reward, short circuited. They were paying me to learn?
Um, For instance, when a teammate and I were working on editing a video where interns shared their personal experiences, it was tricky finding suitable times to call. However, it was so worth it because I had a lot of fun collaborating with her, and we taught each other aspects of video editing we didn't know, which again goes back to the rule that caught my attention that intrigued me: share what you know as well as what you don't know.
Something else started to happen. As I embraced my own imperfection, I became more attuned to the needs of others in our team. I started noticing when someone's voice had been missing from a discussion, or when someone chose to write their ideas in the chat instead of speaking.
When I applied to work with CCL for the second time, I got accepted as a team leader. This time I had more faith in my abilities. When Ramadan came around, I was unable to join some of the meetings. The staff were understanding though, and my co team leader Musa was supportive. Musa filled in when I couldn't, and I filled in when he couldn't, and this created an atmosphere of support and collaboration.
Now I understood. I had been looking for an individual, adult sized output, a script I wrote alone, a video I edited all by myself. I hadn't considered that my very perspective was the point of it all.
My inner critic's voice became a whisper, not a shout, as I realized that my contributions were valuable, whether they were my opinions or my actions.
They had chosen me because I held one piece of the puzzle they couldn't replicate, the lived experience of being a young person in their program. I didn't need to have all the other puzzle pieces to be important.
My increased self confidence caused me to motivate others. When I became a team leader, I focused on making my teammates' experiences as smooth as possible. For example, because CCL introduced me to different working and learning styles that were not like what I was used to, I was better equipped to delegate tasks according to each team member's needs and strengths. I was better equipped to listen to them, to understand.
I recognized that, like me, others also needed space. Space to process, space to speak at their own space, space to participate in ways that worked for them.
The lesson in self compassion wasn't a loud, dramatic event. It was a quiet settling, a permission slip I finally gave to myself. It was the understanding that my value wasn't conditional on me performing some Herculean unique task. Sometimes your contribution is simply your presence, your perspective, and your authentic self.
That was self compassion in action. I allowed myself to show up as I am, even if it felt uncomfortable, even if I didn't meet my own standard of perfect.
The two times I worked with CCL, as well as the various hours I dedicated to volunteering with them, all taught me to have compassion for others. Uh, all, all taught me that to have compassion for others, you must have compassion for yourself, first of all. You must be patient, you must be flexible whenever anyone struggles, whether that's you or someone else. Everyone is still learning along the way.
Global Nomads showed me how to overcome the bias I held against my own work and against the value of experiences and perspectives. They made me feel not like a lucky accident, but like a significant part of a whole. And that, I realized, was a payment far greater than any stipend I could ever imagine.
So, who is Global Nomads? Global Nomads is an organization that offers young people safe digital spaces where we can express ourselves, share our stories, and connect with other youth around the world through our programs.
We have two main programs. Firstly, the Content Creation Lab, which is a virtual internship, and secondly, Nomadverse. Basically, all the um, courses which youth create in the Content Creation Lab are distributed for free on Nomadverse. It's an online learning platform that is also designed by youth. Um, the courses reach thousands of people, mostly students in like school settings or community settings all over the world. Um, to emphasize our commitment to accessibility, we distribute courses in three languages: English, Spanish, and Arabic.
Okay, so what is Content Creation Lab or CCL? The Content Creation Lab is a virtual internship program creating original courses designed by global youth for global youth. The courses we design are about the issues that matter most to us as young people that often don't get taught in schools, such as neurodiversity, human rights, climate change, and artificial intelligence.
So, what do all of these courses have in common? They are all created from and for a youth perspective, by us for us. They use local stories to explore global issues. For our online courses are story based. After each module, students respond to story prompts about each course topic and post them to our global story map. They can also explore the stories other students post. In this way, every student who takes the course also co-creates it, and they are designed for all learners. Our values are focused on accessibility and inclusion. We use universal design principles, which means design courses so that everyone can participate, especially people who often get left out of traditional learning experiences. When you design for the margins, everyone is included.
You can check out our courses on nomadverse.org. Again, they're completely free and completely accessible to everyone.
Now, let's think and write in the chat. In the situation that you described before, what would have actually helped you feel more confident?
Like for example, in the comments about the political elections, for example, what could make you more confident about your um, ability to influence the outcomes or the behavior of voters?
So we got a response in the chat. Courtney says if they reminded themselves that they didn't need to have the complete answer just to be a part of it. That's true. That's exactly
Mhm.
it. You don't need to have the perfect phrasing or the perfect words or the perfect anything really to contribute. Um, Katie says having someone work alongside me. Exactly, I totally agree with that. One of the values that CCL promotes is collaboration.
Yeah, I think being reminded that we are learning and then being provided information and tools to learn and use with mentoring available is always helpful to feel more confident. That is very true. Definitely. It's I mean, honestly, the entirety of life in general is a learning experience, and especially in the workplace, people tend to forget that a lot, which is very sad.
And in school as well, often in schools students are taught that
Yeah,
they need to be perfect, that they need to do all these activities, that they need to excel academically as well as socially and all these things, when in reality you just need to embrace who you are.
loved the idea of quieting the inner critic.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. It's actually really sad because it's humanity themselves that forget that they're human the most. The idea of learning and making mistakes is just completely absent for some reason.
Yeah,
Knowing that my perspective is something important I can contribute. Yeah,
that's something we all
definitely.
learned along the way.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone else has any ideas, please feel free to share. We would
Yeah,
love to hear them.
exactly. Okay, I think we can move on.
Moving forward, then, we've talked a lot about compassion, we've talked a lot about leadership, but how exactly do you apply it in real life? How exactly can you produce tangible results? Well, first of all, when we consider compassion, we at CCL like to divide it between two terms: self compassion and compassion for others. So you cannot have, like, you cannot be too compassionate to others if you first don't understand your own worth, and if you don't have compassion for yourself you will struggle. So first of all, you have to realize that your perspective matters, as we already discussed. Multiple people responded in the chat that they felt like they had to have something important, something big and vital to contribute, when in reality they don't. They just have to have the ability to speak, really, the ability to communicate. It doesn't matter how old you are or how experienced you are. Everyone has thoughts and perspectives that are unique to them and their own life experiences, and everyone should feel free to share them. Following on from that, you must also realize that you are allowed to speak imperfectly. There is no rule which says that you must only speak if you have the right thing to say. It's better to speak. It's better to say something than to stay silent. Um, Thirdly, you have to step forward. Don't exclude yourself when others are trying to include you. Um, this relates to assuming the best of others. Don't withdraw yourself from opportunities that could be enlightening, that could be beneficial, just because you don't think you're worthy. Regarding the aspect, the inner critic, um, regarding the point of the inner critic which we discussed, we all have that voice inside of us. We all have negative thoughts. Some of us in more severe cases. Uh, it's okay to acknowledge these thoughts. What's not okay is to accept them as truth. You can acknowledge something, you can realize that it exists without letting it impact your actions or your ability to contribute. You have to. It's hard to do so, but you have to let these negative self thoughts go. It's also important, however, to remain humble. You don't want to be too arrogant or too overconfident. You have to be honest about your own limits and abilities, and that way you can better help others. Because if they understand their limits and abilities, they know the pace they can work at, they know the skills they can contribute to the group. And you don't have to be perfect in everything, you just have to be good enough at the one thing you do. Following on from all these points, once you better yourself internally, you can model this form of self respect for others. You can extend the same mercy, the same compassion you would have for yourself to others. And you're allowed to celebrate small wins. You're allowed to feel proud of any achievement, even if it's something that others think is very minor or not that important. You're allowed to feel good about yourself.
Okay, so now that we've talked about self-compassion, what about compassion itself? So, the first tip that we'd like to give everyone is to understand that everyone learns and participates differently. So, remember to offer options for how people can participate alone, in pairs, or in groups, on chat or out loud, camera on or camera off. And the second thing we'd like to tell you is to make sure help everyone feel comfortable and included. So offer support for using online tools like Zoom and make sure to check in regularly, make sure that everyone is okay, or to check if they need any additional accommodations. And assume positive intent and practice empathy. So start believing that people's actions and words come from a good place and that they really are trying their best. Don't just jump to random conclusions.
Um, Another tip for compassion is to foster a sense of curiosity and open up the flow for questions. Make it clear that asking questions is a valuable way to contribute, and encourage people to share what they don't know just as much as what they do. If someone seems quiet, don't assume that they are not involved. Take the time to understand how you can assist them. When you receive kindness from others, use that positive energy to pay it forward and support others in the same way.
I think Isbah is having technical difficulties at the moment. So if everyone could just wait a bit.
Okay, but in the meantime, we have a question here that you can write in the chat. Um,
Yes, the question. I will type it into chat.
so let's think and write in the chat. Share one thing you feel ready to do. This could be something you tried tomorrow or a goal for the near future in terms of being compassionate.
And I put another question in the chat if everyone could just look at
Okay.
that. What is one way you will apply compassionate leadership in your own community? It could be anything, big or small.
Okay, I'm back.
Hi. This is huge. Yeah, it really is. Could you expand on that? In order in order to understand points of view or how to collaborate, we need to learn from each other and avoid assumptions. Exactly. If you really
Mm,
listen well to what others have to say, you'll realize that we have more similarities than we do differences.
okay, because we're all human at the end of the day.
And I think all of us have the same desires. We all want to be loved, we all want to be understood. And listening is a huge step that can really contribute to that.
Yeah.
when listening to.
Reminding all that what you don't know is a valuable contribution. This goes against what I think most of us were taught in school, where having the right answer was the goal. That is very true. It's very, very true. And
I've been a
not
professional
knowing
all
something,
my life.
yeah, not knowing something is also a very beautiful thing because that means that you have that space to fill in with more knowledge. I mean, like, imagine knowing
Mm.
everything. How boring would everything be? We wouldn't have anything to explore. So I think the idea of the unknown is actually very beautiful, and people forget that a lot of times.
Yeah. And I think also that a lot of us have the idea that the unknown is scary. And of course, as humans, we're afraid of uncertainty. But uncertainty in life, it can't really be avoided. So we have to accept
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So we have 10 minutes. And,
yeah. Still,
ah,
Also, like, can you also share about self-compassion? Like, what things you will maybe start implementing?
Katie is asking us to say more about how self-compassion and compassion are connected in this work.
and this work as in CCL.
Yeah, I believe so.
Mm.
Honestly, when I joined CCL, it was sort of like Wonderland, it was like how the entire idea of Wonderland is like everything is nonsense. So the ways of the world that we are used to are the opposite in Wonderland. So it was like that for me personally because everything that I felt like my brain was wired for, like I have to meet every deadline. I have to um like put in a lot of effort. I'm getting money for it and I have to like do so much. So when I joined CCL, it was like, oh no, you just have to participate. You just have to like contribute with your perspective. And that was what was self-compassion for me. And then when it comes to compassion itself, um CCL, I'm going to be very honest here. Most of the times when people our age, when like a bunch of Gen Z kids come together, they are a chaotic mess and they can be very problematic sometimes. But CCL it was so calm, it was so peaceful, everyone was so considerate, so nice to one another. So it really makes you wonder, how does that even happen? I personally believe that was a result of how the entire idea of CCL and how the mentors and the members and the team leaders, how their behavior causes us to be more self-compassionate, and then that in turn causes us to be more compassionate to each other, which sort of created this entire system that was so incredibly utopian and it made me really happy and it gave me hope in the world. What about you both, Iffah and Nkeshimana?
Um, it's a concept in psychology that when you feel positive about yourself, you actually, how do I say it? You actually reflect those vibes. That's not the right word, but you like exude that kind of aura. You exude an air of self confidence, of self belief, and that really impacts others because if they see you having if they see someone with high self-esteem, or if they see someone who's aware of their own worth. And I think this is a common problem in today's generation, that we're so caught up in all the like the crowded nature of modern life, and social media and trends and stuff, that we often don't reflect on ourselves, and don't realize our own worth. So when someone sees a person who's actually confident, that person will inspire them to be confident too, and it's like it's a domino effect, it's a chain, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And before I responded, I saw a question here. Yes. At Global Nomads in our internship program, we have youth from from every part of the world. I'm from Mozambique. There's someone here from Qatar, so someone from UAE. So everyone in
Yeah.
the world can participate. Yes. So
Some
going
of
back to
the,
the yeah.
yeah, sorry,
Sorry.
continue. I was gonna say that some of the cohorts of Content Creation
Yeah.
Lab do have age restrictions. So
Mhm.
like it's usually an age range for youth. It's from like 12 years old to like 25, or it's slightly different every time, but um depending on the cohort, pretty much everyone in the world can participate in Content
I will
Creation Lab as far as I
actually
know.
link our website so
Yeah.
everyone can check it
And
out.
Nkeshimana, please continue what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, sorry for the
Yes.
interruption.
No, I was just saying that I agree with your responses, but maybe also mention I think the program also taught me self compassion because the facilitators and the program as as in general were showing me compassion. So by seeing them being compassionate to me, I started learning that I need to practice self compassion. And treat myself the way that I'm being treated. Yeah. So by when you show compassion to others, you also showing that person that it's okay to be compassionate to other people. And what how why being compassionate to others is good because you also feel being benefited by it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It really harms
exactly.
no one. Being kind and understanding, flexible and patient, all these things, they're not hard to do. But these soft skills are often not taught in school environments or workplaces. But it's
Yeah,
important to realize
unfortunately.
that, and it's important to practice it. And hopefully, we've given you all some useful tips, and hopefully, you found it all very informative and very engaging.
Yeah, if you guys have any other questions, you can also drop them in the chat.
Mm. It's great to know that everyone's feeling so positive.
Yeah, it makes us very happy.
So, on the slide now, we've linked our various websites and also our Instagram page for anyone who
Yeah,
wants to
thank
check it out.
exactly. Thank you so much to everyone for listening to us and being here. And you can find out more about Global Nomads and the Content Creation Lab and their courses from the websites and things that we've linked on the screen. Thank you so much.
And if you find a course that seems interesting to you, don't hesitate to send in an application
Join
and join
it.
the
Yeah.
ASWL if you're eligible.
Yeah, they're very fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.